Hello students, we are going to discuss with you about human resource today. Human resource is known to everyone. We all are practicing in India human resource for last more than 50 years. But what is more important is how this human resource has undergone several changes and what is the kind of expectations that industry has from your human resource and how it has traveled through over the years that we both are going to discuss with you. Now, today in industry, when HR is looked as a value proposition, can HR really deliver some value to the organization? In the olden days, if we see 20 years back, HR was always a function which is kept in isolation. So whenever you are working in HR, you are doing training or you are doing whatever kind of activities, it is always in isolation and not synced with business, which is what is not going to work. So HR, everybody has to create value in the organization and have to bring to what kind of value proposition they are going to deliver to the organization out of the practice that they are going to plan. Now, before getting into this aspect, what is more important for all of us to know how this HR function started in industry. And this will help us as students, for you all, to understand the evolution of HR internationally and India as a whole, and how this HR has progressed and got matured over the years, and what is that industry's expectation. So when you pass out and when you go to the industry, over a period of time you will get to know what is that is expected out of you, what is that industry is looking from you, and how you are going to deliver the best of the things. So it will give you a complete background about what is this human resource profession is going to be functional in the industry in today's parlance. Now, when we come to, if you see, the origin of HR is from, goes back to the era of British Raj. The importance of HR has come with the introduction of a concept of labor officer in the year 1929, the first report by the Royal Commission on Labor, and they have recommended for a labor officer in every company where you are employing more than those days 1500 plus labor, because those were the labor intensive days. 1500 was very small numbers, and from there, and the role of HR, the labor officer, was to take disciplinary action to ensure that all disciplines are in place. If the person is absenting, he should be charge sheeted, he should be served warning, and ensure that he should come within the as per the discipline norms of the company. That was the initial role. From there, the HR gone into more problem solving mode, where you are helping individual employee with his difficulties, with his problem, being a counselor. Could you help him out? If somebody has some domestic issues and he is getting into a chronic absenteeism kind of thing, what is that HR could call, talk to this person, give him some peace of mind, give him some various alternatives as to how to cope up with this personal and professional life kind of thing. So this is what was the role. The another 10 to 12 years from there, the role of HR was more of a in addition to police and counselor role, the main role was more of a entertainer. So if there is a party, if there is something, HR is one who is going to organize and see. And along with that, what is more important was the HR should work as a bureaucratic obstacle, because there are certain things which as per the policy it is not permissible. So you are not supposed to get this. These are the certain things you are not entitled for. So these are the kind of things which HR role was there all through. Now, with the after 1992, with the advent of the globalization, things have changed. The expectations about HR has changed. The world started looking for anything and everything that is happening in the industry should have some kind of value proposition. Yeah. So the first thing in the organization are what is that we need to, and one of the most important aspects, one of the most important revolution in industry has happened is what is that the core competency in any business and any organization. See, what has happened is before 92, before globalization, it was more of a you should have a good finance, you should have good technology, you should have good arrangements, good facilities, and all these things were not easy. Because if you have to go for good technology, you have to ensure that can I afford to have that technology. Somewhere you have to see that can financially be make me viable to go for that. So the most important aspect was all that. But post globalization, what has happened is all these things become easier. You could get the best of the technology in the world, you can make the partnership, you can have good kinds of loans from different banks and organizations. Banks were opened, they were ready to give loans. So what is left? What I can have as a, till yesterday as an organization who can have leverage all these things have become common. It's available with everyone. So what is left? What is the differentiator between a world-class industry and a normal domestic industry? The real change, the people have started seeing this, whatever he has got, all other aspects of the organization and industry is available everywhere. So what is the differentiator? The only differentiator that is left are two things. One is people, and people executing performance. So then the core competencies that remains with people, because what kind of competencies what my people can discharge in the organization, can produce in the organization, maybe my competitor cannot have. And that is the single largest differentiator that industry has seen, and that is how HR has got its real prominence in the industry as a whole. Now, people always say that everywhere we always hear that people are our most important assets. After that, this was a buzzword. Everywhere people used to talk, yeah, it is only people, people. But really, if we see and if we go and people like us who are practicing in industry can see that is really HR people are really our greatest asset. Are they people are really they are the competency advantage to the organization. So there were lots of things, because by that time when industry has posed so many of challenges on HR function itself was not ready to cope up with those kind of requirements, and that is how people started giving a different kind of voices started coming that, oh, HR is more of, you know, whatever HR talks doesn't exist. We don't see things there. There are lots of things which started coming from is HR is talking something. HR is more of a recruitment function. So they are recruiting people and they are giving people. There is nothing much that we can expect. What HR is talking all about is not happening. So these were the kind of things which HR has and people have about the organization. Then the concept of how these people are the only competitive advantage. Everything else can be replicated, but people you can't replicate. How that is going to come true? And that is where is the moot question comes before. Do HR people feel like that they play an important role in the organization and in the organization's strategy? Does HR really matter? What we are saying so far, whatever I have discussed with you, is really it matters in the organization. We need to see that. Yes, it does. Because today there is no other alternative. But why? Why people feel like it is more important is what HR has to get into an alignment with the industry as a strategic alignment. Can HR remain as a strategic partner? If that is so, what is the goal of HR strategy? We all need to know the goal of HR strategy is to create value proposition. If you don't create value proposition, you will not be seen as a real partner. Now, what is this value proposition all about? Value proposition is all about because when it talks about value proposition, you also need to come in sync with the industry. So what is the industry? Any company, what is the single largest strategy of any company? The goal of any company. The strategic goal of any company is to increase the shareholders' value, to increase your profitability. And the role of HR, the strategic alignment, the HR strategy is to maximize the efficiency of people towards the goal of the organization. So if organization goal is to increase shareholders value, the HR's goal is to increase the efficiency of people to create that shareholders value and enhance that shareholders value. That is what is the HR goal of HR strategy today, which will get in sync well with industry. Now, when we talk about this, the role of HR changes. What is that HR is looking for? Till yesterday, we always looked like, oh, HR is doing payroll, HR is doing leave management. We used to call timekeeping office. We used to call training and development, and everything used to happen in isolation, as I said in the beginning. What is important for HR? The first thing and the foremost thing to know is what is my business all about? Who are the stakeholders in my business? What is my customer's expectation from my organization? What is my employee's expectation from my organization? Is HR helping organization to fulfill those? Are my policies, all my practices, all my strategies are enable my people to contribute towards the and to fulfill the expectations of the people, of the various stakeholders, that is your customer, your shareholders, your employees, and your overall society. So this is what the role has changed, where HR has to start looking into what I'm creating is really value in the organization. Are my people happy with that? Yeah. So this is our today's main topic. We are arriving is HR value proposition. What is this HR value proposition? The HR value proposition is basically rotates around what these people who are working in the organization, what affects them, what affects their performance, why people are not able to give their 100%. This is the prime one-liner for every HR to start thinking today. And if that is so, what kind of practices that I can produce to help my people to do better, to get more and more find conducive environment in the organization where they could produce best of their abilities for the organization. And for that, we need to do a lot of small things. The small things makes a very big difference. Are we seeing that by me producing this kind of assistance to my people is change, or my people's behavior is changing? And what this behavior is going to get reflected, it will be reflected into the productivity, performance of people, right? And that is where we have to also see that are our people together in our game plan, and that is where we need to do lot of activities, lot of events to bring our people together and work towards the same goal of the organization. That is what is HR value proposition, which we are going to discuss into more details in subsequent slides. The first and the foremost principle of HR value proposition is the value of any proposition is to be defined by the receiver, the person who is going to receive that value, and not by the giver, that is HR. If HR says I am creating value proposition in the organization, it is not HR who could see that I have done these things. You cannot scratch your back. Or your clients are saying that yes, this value which HR has created helped me to do my best. This is something what organization has given me, with which I could produce better. This is the policy which HR has brought into. I could help, and it is helping me. My people are doing best of the results. This is what today your line managers need to discuss about this, and that is what is the first and the foremost principle, that value has to be derived from the value has to be recognized by the receiver and not by the giver. Now we are going to discuss about what are the aspects as HR value proposition when it comes to business, how it is going to be. My friend Prashant would speak, who is an expert into business HR, who could see that the contribution of HR directly goes towards the business.
When we mention about business HR becoming a partner to the organization, it starts with understanding the needs and importance of the customers, our investors and managers and employees, what they really need, what they are actually in need of. Understanding these needs will help us to create HR practices which will be in line with the requirements of the people, what kind of performance they are performing, what kind of information they share, what kind of information is required, what kind of work is executed. So based on this, the HR manager or the business managers need to develop the strategy. If their strategy is not in sync with the needs and requirement of the customers, that is the stakeholders, it's not going to be in sync. So HR will again become a kind of an engagement manager. So to be a business HR, be a strategic partner, the HR strategy needs to be in sync with the requirement of the business. And to ensure this, the HR has to develop roles. They should understand what kind of role is the actual requirement to execute a certain role within the organization. Develop their competencies and then get into the actual development of the employees. They need to measure the gap between the employees, the actual employee, what he is executing right now, and what is the need to become a strategic partner. So to bridge this gap, the business HR plays an important role, understanding what are the actual competencies, where the gap is, and how to bridge those gaps. And this gap cannot be bridged only by measuring what kind of execution is required. It has to be in sync with the global needs, because business is a dynamic place. It keeps on changing. The needs of the business is changing. Similar way, the employee needs to be enhanced, employee needs to be developed. The technology, it's more of technology driven. So globalization and the demographic plays an important role, which will help a business partner to serve to the business towards the end. So leading towards the goal of the organization.
Yeah. Now we are going to, the Prashant has just said as to what is that HR could contribute toward the business, and business could see, yes, these are the things which are coming directly from HR, and these are the areas where HR is looking into. So it will directly start, a business could directly leverage the benefit out of the contribution made by HR towards the business. Now, while doing this HR proposition, when we are discussing, what is more important is we need to see there are some 10 or 12 basic principles which I am going to discuss with you today here. These principles would speak about what is that strategic HR all about, and what is that we need to know, and how HR is being recognized in today's world. So the first and the foremost important aspect, and as we said in the beginning, it is all, HR cannot be, end of the day, HR is for business. HR is not for HR. So how much we get into the business, how much we understand business, and how much we link the HR initiatives towards the business, that is what we are going to see in today's this 10 to 12 principles. Slowly I will try to take you through that, which will give you a basic idea as to how this HR in today's world could help industry. And when you get into your profession, after completing of your course, you will get to know, when you will go for interview, you could speak about these aspects, because these are the kind of things which are going on in the world today. So anybody could ask, what are you aware about HR strategy or strategic HR? The strategic HR is nothing but HR value proposition and how you are going to do. So I think this is something is going to be very, very important when you are stepping into your career, when you pass out from this place. Okay, so the first and the foremost thing is competitiveness. We all talk about competitiveness, but what is competitiveness is not strategy, but it is multiple of strategy which makes the organization. End of the day, you are working for organization. Competitiveness is an aspect of that, and when you look for competitiveness, it always comes for your strategy and how your strategy is going to be. See, there are examples after examples where people say, oh, strategy failed. Particular company came down. The market has gone. The market share has come down. The company is going in red because strategy didn't work. So what is important? See, formalizing a strategy is not that difficult. Everybody's strategy is in very good shape. If you see, the design of strategy is always good. Then what is important? Execution. And what is that? How you are executing your strategy? Are you taking this strategy? Is your strategy is being shared among the employees? All people at every levels could see that I have also contribution to the strategic alignment, to the strategic formulation of this company. And then my ownership goes up. So that is something, the first and the foremost thing. can that strategy tomorrow organization accepts, then my every contribution what I am doing at my workplace, could I see that my contribution going to the larger picture? And that is what is very important for any organization to succeed. The most important aspect is when we talk about strategy, we also need to know everybody in the whole value chain of the strategy should know where are we leading towards and where are we going, what is the destination, what we want to achieve. There should be a complete clarity, core to the every specification at all levels. This is very, very important. We also need to know as a customer, what is, when you have a customer and you have an expectation, what is that employee is going to deliver to the customer? Is it going to be in sync with what strategically you are thinking? Are your people are behaving on the same line, which is directly going as a value to your customer? And if this is something which we need clarity, which we need to bring to the organization, and which is what is the first and the foremost value proposition of HR towards organization. So there should be very clear direction, where need to go, what need to be done, where we need to reach, what is the time plan, and what will be my game plan to reach there is my strategic clarity, which should be there at all levels across the organization and does not remain with the CEOs and the directors. It has to go down up to the worker working on the shop floor, and that is what is the beauty of whole strategic clarity in the organization. The principle number two is, when we all talk about organization, we always look at it's a pyramidal structure, my managing director at the top, then my other board of directors, then my business heads, and then my department heads, and so on. Is this the organization? Really, organization is not a structure. Structure is just an instrument to bring the information flow across the organization. It is nothing more. Hierarchies are made to facilitate each of us to work systematically within a given framework. And that is what, when we talk about organization, it is not the structure, it is a capability. And people generally confuse between competency and capability. These are two different things. Competency is not capability. Then what is capability? When we talk about capability, capability is always seen in terms of organization. So in my very simple way, capability is every organization has to think how I want to be seen by others, how I want my client should be seen at me, how I want my investors should be known me for, how I should be known for my investors, how I should be known for my client, how I should be known for my employees, how I should be known for my society. And that is what is capability. Once you think that I want to be, take an example, I want to be a quality product organization, right? Suppose tomorrow, if we see that Sony, when it comes to TV, we talk of Samsung or Sony. It is known for what? It is known for their quality. The moment Samsung comes, you see that, oh, picture tube, clarity. This is what is the capability as an organization. I want to be known. So my capability for this is quality. And how that quality is going to come? That quality is going to come from the all stakeholders. And then I'll give you an example. When it comes to washing powder, there are two names only come. There are hundreds of washing powder in the company. Which are two names? Nirma and Rin. When it comes to, say, electronics, when it comes to, I mean, the moment the electronics come, we look at Samsung, we look at Godrej, we look at Voltas. When it comes to airlines, you always see that Jet Airways. You always see as your Indigo. How these people have changed. What are the kind of value proposition that they brought. And that is what is very important for HR to know. If this is the capability which I want, where is my organization standing today? If I want to be, there are organizations who may call, I want to be cost effective. If this is the thing, I want to always remain because I am for masses. Take an example of Reliance CDMA. What was the strategic clarity that was given at the beginning? Was whatever information you can write on a postcard, you can read the whole thing within that 20 paisa or 25 paisa, whatever. That was the value proposition. So I am making this for masses, I am not for class. When it comes to quality and everything is right, how organization want them to be seen as. So if I am at a quality, I am charging premium over my competition. I may not be sasta. I am not cheap. I am quality product. I am going to take more value. I am going to charge premium over my competition. But when it comes to another thing, cost effectiveness, I will be cheapest. I would see that my thing should go to every houses in the rural India. That is my objective. So this is what we have to, and when you want to think that, there are organizations, they call it, we will be considered as a leader in our segment of industry. Take an example, the moment you say construction, what name comes to your mind? L&T. Right? So that is what we have to see that how, and when you want to do, we have to do capability audit. Capability audit will always be seen as, are we really developing talent? Are we going for collaboration? What kind of accountability people are going to have? How we are going to bring efficiency? And then there are parameters. So every day, we as an HR people, today, need to conduct this capability audit in the organization. And then see that, is my organization is capable? Can they derive this kind of value today? That is something is going to come. The next principle that is going to come is change. We all are aware, change is not a, change is inevitable. Everybody has to go for a change. But when it comes to change, we have to also understand change is always seen as, oh, we are making this kind of change. One small portion in one corner, we call it a change. Change can't be in bits and pieces. Change cannot be seen for one particular small incident. Change is always seen as a process. Change has to be seen as a process. It cannot be seen as an event. And what is the challenge? When we are going for change, we have to see that what kind of discipline we have to, is our organization ready for that? And many of the organizations, either change doesn't get implemented or it will get implemented with lots of difficulty and with elapse of time. If you plan that something you want to do in 3 months' time, it takes 1 year. And why it happens? Because we don't proactively plan the impact of change and the consequences that we are going to face and how we are going to plan about it. So the first and the foremost is the person who is leading the change, he should be consistent. It's not that somebody has brought some change and tomorrow he's transferred and that person is not there, somebody else is coming and he's going to start something. So consistency is very, very important with the leadership. The most important thing is you should know why is this change is required. It's really required in the organization. If at all it is required, why it is required, known to people. At least people who are going to get affected by the change should be known why this change is required. The third most important thing, we should have a clear sense of going, what will be my game plan? How am I going to reach to this change? Am I going to go step by step? Am I going to take a hit and run kind of thing? Am I going to take a one-time call? All this, then how am I going to get buy-in from people? If you are not going to get buy-in, you cannot implement change. Yeah. And then what kind of decisions you are taking? And once you do all this, you slowly institutionalize the change. The next time if you are going for any change, your things are well set. You are going to adopt the same practice going for another change. So change becomes a process. It's a process well accepted and well taken by the organization across. So what is important as an HR? To manage the process of change. You have to manage who are your change leader, what they need to do, their competencies are to be made clear to them, how this is going to get implemented in the organization. So that is what is the real role of HR today when it comes to change. The next one is come as culture. When it comes to culture, we always think like, oh, this organization is very, very efficient, or this organization is, this organization is very, very, they are very good, they have lots of values, their value charter is very big, kind of thing. See, you can't be seen as some organization, like, I'll give you an example. There is organization which is known for its service towards social cause, and one of the social cause is protecting the wildlife. Now, this particular value is definitely there, but can you call it as a culture? You can't call it as a culture. These are some of the values this organization is cherishing. Maybe for their own, it has come by way of inheritance with the organization and they are doing it. But when it comes to value, when it comes to culture, it is more than value. What is important is change is an identity. Are you an organization which is an open kind of organization? Are you an organization which is very participative kind of organization? Are you an organization where you give space to your people to come up? This is what is called as the culture. So culture is always seen as shared mindset, where people could see, oh, I can also think on this. I can send my suggestion and that will be considered and I will get to know whether that is accepted or not. That is what is culture. And culture can come with the and you need to build into the organization that it becomes a brand. Today there are several organizations which work into all this, but when it comes to organization like Tata's or organization like this your Aditya Birla organization, or for that matter the organization is like L&T, where why people see, because it's a culture, it's a brand that they have created. Their people can talk, their people can come and discuss. So they also know. Today the most important difficulty in HR is attracting the best people. And in organization like Tata's, when they go for campus interview, they always send their ex-students from those institutes to these campuses. And those students who have passed out from these campuses goes to their campuses back, and they talk about organization, how good is their organization is all about, what they have done in the organization. That is what is considered as the brand. And they talk about the culture of the organization, how rich is that, and how you are going to build your career with this organization. And that is the best way of bonding these students and attracting towards the organization. So HR is most important to see that how to give that identity of shared mindset, which can make a real difference into the organization, right? The most foremost important today in any organization building is its leadership, and we always see what is because leadership we hear a lot. Leadership, the moment leadership comes, we start thinking people who are managing director who have done well. When we go to if we think of Tata and we think of leadership, the name comes before us is J.R.D. Tata. But what happened after J.R.D. Tata? The moment you talk of G, you start thinking the name of Jack Welch. But after Jack Welch, what happened? So what is important is these are the charismatic leaders that cannot be a leadership for the organization, because we all are talking in the context of the organization and not in the context of individual. So when we talk about leadership, it is not about individual, it is not about a person, but it is about a brand. Can we call this organization is a leadership organization? Can we call? Today there are very handful of organizations which are called as leadership organization. How that happens? And you see, particularly in industry vertical, there are organizations which are known as they are the leadership organization in that particular vertical. So how that comes? Leadership is always think in terms of what is the brand value that organization has developed, what are the kind of results that organization is producing for the organization and for the society at large, what kind of universal principles and practices that organization has developed, and as we talked in the previous slides, what kind of competencies that organization have identified for a leader. And the most important thing is this leadership, when we talk about, it cannot be seen again in one particular aspect. It is a complete pipeline. And you know, the leadership, are you making your leader so competent who can be a good situational leader, who can change his style, who can change his way of addressing things according to the situation and environment which suits over there, so that he will be a person who can handle any and every kind of situation for the organization. So that is what we need to see. So it is the responsibility of HR to instill this process of leadership into the organization where you could produce best of the leaders. Now when we talk about leadership, when we talk about inspiring, it is what is important is the pipeline of leader. Leader cannot be seen at the level of, oh, my managing director is going to retire. Can I see that who else can be within the lot can become a managing director? You will never get leadership. Leadership is to be seen that from a pipeline, from my lowest level, who are the people who are going to get qualified to the next level, and so on. So when it happens like that, you start getting into some kind of processes. So you have to always see that what is leadership is to be called, how strategically it will result into, what kind of assessments we need to do, what we need to invest into the leadership, how we are going to measure that his good leadership or this leadership is capable enough for the organization. At end of the day, is this leadership take the organization to the next level? And that is what the whole process should rotate around. And when we talk about leadership, the next thing that comes to learning. Learning is always seen as, we all talk about generating ideas. And we all know today, leader, we all discuss, learning can happen by anybody and learning you can have from anyone, because learning is more of a generating ideas. But as a HR professional, it is not only ideas, but you also have to see the learning is ideas with impact. The ideas that I have generated out of learning, can I bring that learning to my workplace? The transfer effect of this learning. Unless I take this learning to my workplace, how am I going to really leverage, how my organization is going to leverage out of my learning? So, for organization, as a HR professional, we should see that can this learning with ideas which it is generating will make an impact at his workplace for him. And if that makes an impact, those impact can be contributed to the larger picture. At end of the day, that is what is individual contribution towards the organization, which is most important, one of the job of HR. And that is why we always need to see what are those things we need to see as individual learning aspects, what aspects we need to look at team learning, and what aspects we look at organizational learning. But all the learning should finally make an impact to my role as an individual, as a team, or as an organization, which will contribute tomorrow to the larger picture of the organization. And that is the reason why HR need to bring discipline into the learning aspects of the organization. When it comes to learning, when we talk about the most important aspect, when we are discussing so many things, we are discussing leadership, we are discussing learning, we are discussing share mindset, all this would come with collaboration approach. We all need to be together to do this. But when we talk about togetherness and collaboration, we always think that everybody should get a chance to speak. We are a democratic country. When we look at collaboration, we also look from the angle of democracy. But from HR point of view, collaboration is not alone democracy, but it is 2-3 people coming together. Can we leverage value which is more than this, which is where the whole is more than the sum of its parts? Can we make 1 + 1 = 3? And that is what HR need to look for. So what HR need to do here is, when you are working in the organization, what are the efficiencies that I could bring from different potentials in the organization, the different talent in the organization. Suppose if you are working in a team of 5 and somebody is technologically very advanced, somebody who has got a very good ability to manage people, somebody who could manage the processes well, all this come together, and when the whole team become, it is a complete team who could take care of this business aspect. And that is what, when we talk about team, all about. When it comes to, when we talk about team, it is more about how to ensure that the efficiency of team would leverage towards the organization goal. And these are very, very important things where you could go for SMART kind of thing, which we all are aware. When you talk about SMART, your objective, your processes should be SMART, which is SMART, S-M-A-R-T, which is specific, measurable, articulated, realistic, and time bound. So this SMART way, how we can bring and how we can get into the specifics of the objects, make it measurable and make it accountable for the organization. Now, the most important aspect is customer. We all talk about customer. Customer is very, very important to our business. When we talk about customers, we talk about internal customers and all. Now, here we are saying customer service is not alone the market share. We all have seen there are organizations who have grieved. Their market share has gone up, but their bottom line has come down. Why? My billing has gone up, my discount has also gone up. So my bottom line is thinning down, my market is going up. What am I going to benefit as an organization? End of the day, what I said in the beginning, at the beginning of my slide, is the HR's role is what? When the organization role is to increase the shareholder value, the HR role is to increase the efficiency towards the shareholder value. So suppose if I start and if I only look at market share and see the increasing the size of the market, but if my bottom line is driving down, that is not the real customer valuation, customer service. What customer service all about when we talk about customer share? So there is a very basic, the major difference between market share and customer share. Customer share is one which would contribute to the organization, which would bring direct. The customer share, there is, I will tell you one very, very basic thing, which is Mr. Dave Ulrich has put in his book called HR Value Proposition, where it said that the real customer share is one where you can bring the value, the real currency of my competitor's customer's wallet to my organization. Can I bring that, and can I see that the churn is coming to my organization and my bottom line is going up? That is what is called customer share. There are lots of aspects which need to be, how to segment your customer, how to deliver, get value from your customer, and how to connect as an organization to the customer. That is where is the important. So HR's main job is, are you partnering? Are you seeing that your organization is partnering, is targeting to partner themselves with all the customers that of your organization? Is the role of HR to ensure. Yeah. When you talk about customer share, you should always see that, am I giving that value proposition to my customer? Is my customer happy? What my customer is looking for? Am I delivering what is anticipating from me? That is what is called customer share. The most important aspect, which was all the time was there before this globalization and other thing come, is financial results. Everybody was talking about it is financial results which will decide if my company's bottom line is good, I am there. But my company's bottom line is good today, is it going to remain tomorrow? That is the moot question. And is it only my bottom line which I could see my profitability, which is 12% of my top line, is that I am saying, or is it something beyond? And that is how, if we all know the concept of balance scorecard, which was made by David Norton and Kaplan, is to look at other aspects of business, to look into the other elements of business, which is customer, processes and people. So finance is not the alone, financial results are not alone, but when you talk about organization, you need to look into the aspects of market value. And when we talk about market value, we need to look at processes, we need to look at systems, we need to look at people's efficiency, those kind of things. Then only you can always, and these things can be done. The most and the important challenge for HR professional today is to look at these intangibles and convert them into tangibles. So this is what is the role of HR. When it comes to abundance, end of the day, you have to see that how my organization could go forward and can be abundant organization. What is that we need to do? Can we add values and can we bring this organization and take it to the next level? How am I going to do that? As an organization, when we want to bring best of the competencies, best of the people who can create best for the organization. And that is what in one of the very well-known book called, where we all talk about customer is the king. This is a book which I am referring, is called The Customer Comes Second. The book says, if I take care of my employee well, they will take care of my customers better. So for me, the customer comes next. Once my employees are well taken care of, my customers will automatically going to be satisfied customers. HR is being divided into two major roles. When we talk about all this, I have talked about transformation. So HR is basically looked into two aspects, transaction and transformation. Transaction is something that we do on day-to-day basis, which is also important. End of the day, whether my pay is coming in time, whether my appointment letter has come in time, whether my increment letter is getting in time, am I getting my reimbursement in time, if I'm getting sick, am I getting my Mediclaim, this claim in place? These are very important. These are transactions is equally important, because end of the day, this is what reaches to the employee for the day one. And if you talk about transformation and if you are not providing these things, nobody is going to believe what we are saying as an HR, right? So we need to govern these transactions very efficiently and then look for more effectively how we could transform this organization on the last 10 principles that I discussed with you. So HR should first look at transactions and then get into transformation. Now what we have seen all these principles, finally what as an HR professional we need to deliver. The first and the foremost thing for HR professional need to be what we want to be. If we want to be employee advocate, if we want to be a coach, we all need to have a credibility. And what is credibility? We must walk the talk. Whatever we have committed to the people, we must fulfill. And you shouldn't commit that you can't fulfill. That is what, if you have a personal credibility, people will start looking at you, people will start listening to you, people will start coming and developing that trust in you. And that is what HR, if you want to be, because the future role for HR is you be as a coach, you be as an employee architect, you be as a facility provider, you be as who can deliver value to the organization. Now, if you want to become a valued contributor for HR, I need to sit and see what am I supposed to do, what are my options, end of the day, what can I think how can I look from organization from the overall strategic perspective, and how I help my organization progressing through the people. So as we talked in the beginning, the HR value proposition, which is today the buzzword in the industry, everybody talks about strategic HR. Strategic HR is nothing but creating this value proposition into the organization. If we want to create this value proposition, these are the principles we all need to look into, and whenever friends you are stepping into your profession, these are the things you must keep at the back of your mind. The future HR is nothing other than this. So the real role of HR is going to be more of a strategic partner, a change agent, an administrative expert, and employee relations person. So these are the roles which we all will have to, where we need to look at strategy aspects also, process aspects also, and people aspects. Yeah, I think with this, I'm sure this strategic aspects, what we have discussed in all these 12 principles, will take you to understand HR into more deeper and greater way, and will help you out when you step in to your profession. Thank you so much.